Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
That's right. It's a brand new episode of our comic book review show that's been going on for over 10 years.
It's brand new.
Brand new. This one's brand new anyway. So we want to thank you so much for joining us. Of course, as always, we do appreciate you joining us on the live show, which is typically around 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, PM. That is on Monday nights Eastern. So yeah.
That's right.
You're our favorites. We do quietly accept that. As far as the show format is concerned, let's give you a little bit of a roundup. We are talking about the news and reviews. We talk about the past week's comics, recap and review them, tell you what we thought about them, and then recommend comics that are coming out this week that we think you should check out. But between that little span of time, we also like to pick out a book of the week, our personal selections of what stood out to each of us that week, and also then read your comments in the form of super chats. If you have a super chat, you can sponsor today's show by using a question or comment and putting it into those super chats so we can read all those at the end of the show and show homage to you and your efforts. And we do appreciate it. Keeps the infrastructure going. If you are a patron at patreon.com/ComicPop, you may have seen that the guys came by. We were actually just shooting an episode of Back Issues over on youtube.com/ComicPop. And we were putting up these tarps, for lack of a better description, because, you know,
because the ceiling leaks.
Because late stage capitalism sucks. And so, yeah, we're just dealing with this, you know.
That's okay. But we're here.
No, we are here.
And we're here to talk about comics because we like comics and we like talking about them with you. And I had a better comic week this week.
You did.
I did. I had a much more enjoyable comic week than I had last week.
Oh, that's great.
So I'm excited. I'm excited for this show.
Me too.
Also, everybody compliments Sal's hair.
Because Tiffany made it happen.
No.
Yeah, she cut my hair. And has been for at least the last 6 years.
You know what it is? I'm particularly pleased with
how
this
one came
one.
out?
This one, I'm like, yeah, like I was locked in, baby. I was locked in on cutting your hair the other day.
It's true.
I can't lock in on Marvel Rivals, but I can lock in on this hair.
On cutting hair. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you very much for your effort. I do appreciate the
it's fine.
the
I'm
work.
just like, I'm not normally this pleased with it. I'm like, I don't tell anybody.
I mean, it
But,
looks
like,
good.
This time I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I think it looks great. It looks usually pretty great.
It's you know, to varying degrees, but this one, she's locked in, baby.
Yeah.
Locked in.
Fair enough.
Is there any comic book news you want to talk about?
Not really. Well, I mean, there was a trailer for Fantastic Four that finally dropped. There was a behind-the-scenes / trailer for the new Superman movie that dropped. People are casually indifferent on those movies for some reason. You know, Thunderbolts is coming out in less than a month.
Heck yeah!
And I'm really excited to see that.
I know you are.
You know, I saw an interesting thing on, unfortunately, the Reddits this morning, I think, or last night. I was just looking at r/comic books because I like to peruse that area, see what the pulse is like in that particular area. And it reminds me like how different everything is, like how
depending on where you are,
wherever you are, there's a completely different temperature read on everything.
Yes,
and you can kind of, if you go to enough places enough times over a set designated amount of time, you can kind of tell what their reaction is going to be, and it's just like completely unreadable when it comes to like guessing. You know, you can live on Reddit or you can live on Twitter or Twitter adjacent apps and have completely different temperature reads on like books, the culture, creators, etc.
Yeah.
Like every single month, there is a "Why is Tom King good or bad?" thread.
Sure.
Every single week, there is a new thread that says, "Recommend me some comic book podcasts."
Would you stop?
There always is, and it's always just funny to see. I'm like, let's say the same 6 recommendations that are always suggested. But the last 2 months, I've seen very interesting, you know, because you see the same results on a regular basis. Sure. I've seen 2 very different threads that are the exact same thread by 2 different people, supposedly, that were basically like, hey, recommend me some new podcast / comic book YouTube channels, but please don't suggest ComicPop.
Okay.
But they didn't say ComicPop. They were like, but please don't recommend any shows about guys on couches that talk about comic, or shows that are like live that review the book. Like it was just all these very interesting parameters. They're very specific. And the thread still had like 30 different suggestions that were like, you should watch ComicPop if you.
But that's nice. That means they know us. Hi.
Oh yeah,
Hi
I
out
know.
there.
It's just very like frustrating to see that, because I'm like,
Okay.
But anyway,
Okay.
How
How about something good? Tell me something good.
Well, there were a ton of people who supported us and repped us.
Okay, well, I've been telling something good in comic book news.
I don't know. You know, Superman.
Yeah.
I got nothing. Honestly, like the comic industry is in a weird place right now.
Sure.
Everyone is doing their best and trying to make good comics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have a new weekly show with me and Josh where he just reads your comments, and
yeah, that was a surprise that is like a thing
still
now.
going.
I love it.
It's great. It's great. And I hope you are availing yourselves of it. But Josh is very like, you know, candid and honest and straightforward about like the whole industry. And
not like you, who's candid and honest about the industry.
No, but I'm a hater and I don't know anything.
You're not. You can be okay. So like you can be overly realistic about things, and I think that people mistake that sometimes as like just hatred or vitriol.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just because you don't want that realism to creep in. I felt like that sometimes, not with you, but I mean, like when I hear things and I'm just like, no, I don't want to hear that. Like,
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just because it's like, I have like this rosy, like image of something and
Sure.
I just don't want it tarnished.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make someone a hater. That's just the reality of life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I hate Iron Fist in Marvel Rivals because him flying around and punching people, I've had enough of it.
Yeah.
Then that is me. That's me being a hater.
Right, exactly.
Hate him.
At least Grant Morrison is announced as writing a Batman book, kind of.
Ooh.
And by that I mean Grant Morrison said on Substack,
yeah, that a Batman book
would be it would be more Batman than Superman.
Yes.
People are extrapolating all kinds of ideas about what that might be.
Sure.
They're hoping for a lot of follow-ups to a lot of things, and I think you're going to be very disappointed by the result.
It's going to be an intense and deep dive critique on bats and bat adjacent characters that transcends universes. Mm-hmm. And we had to have a whole new map of a bat cave, but the bat cave is actually a multiversal bat cave that like leans into every bat universe.
There we go.
That's what it's going to be.
Well, I look forward to reading it. Did you read anything or hear anything?
I didn't hear anything.
Yeah,
I feel like I probably heard something.
Right? Well, who cares?
I hear that people are excited for the idea of like Ultron entering into Marvel Rivals. I know I talk a lot about Marvel Rivals. Yes, he's going to
be on Marvel Rivals.
I'm like so not like tuned into that for some reason. They made a lot of change ups, a lot of shift ups to characters.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, remember in the wake of me reading the comic, right? Like, and I was kind of like feeling meh about the comic overall. Playing the game after reading the comic, I was like, oh, like certain maps, I was like, this makes more sense because immediately, like when you're fighting on certain maps, I assume certain things about certain like sides that you're on, that like you're obviously the good guy or you're obviously the bad guy. And I was like, this is so different like now to me for some reason. Like knowing this changed my perspective on like the narrative within the game. And
yes.
Like, also, like I realized how much now of like Krakoa has seeped in, like to the fact that it's like Storm talks about like being the region of the solar system. I'm like, no, the people making Marvel Rivals are like, Krakoa is it.
Yep.
Krakoa
forever.
Mark, that's it. It's over. That's where mutants live. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
Well, if you want to watch Tiffany play that game and chat with you guys, you can always do that on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at youtube.com/@ComicPop Plays or twitch.tv/ComicPop. Either way.
Yeah.
And if you're looking to subscribe to that, just go into the description box below this video. Mm-hmm. You'll find links to everything we do below that. But yeah, I read Wolverine.
By the way, we're not sponsored by Marvel Rivals whatsoever.
No, we're not.
But you did a fun...
we could be.
You did a fun voiceover in a Marvel Rivals adjacent thing.
It was vaguely Marvel Rivals.
It's really funny.
I did a little voice for a new Dorkly bit.
And you might actually be playing at some point.
I might be playing Marvel Rivals with the Dorkly team. At some point in the indeterminate future.
I'm trying to get him ready.
Yeah.
I'm doing training montages.
That's right. Exactly.
All right, let's go.
Well, I read Wolverine 400 or 8, depending on what, universe you're in.
I can't tell if this is a good cover or a not good cover.
Yeah, me either. So yeah, I read Wolverine number 8. It's from Solid and Ahmed and Martin Kokolo, as per usual, with a backup by Daniel Warren Johnson.
Oh.
Yeah. This kind of feels like the end. Like it's not, because we're setting it up. Like sure. I think Ahmed kind of like, okay, so Ahmed is also writing Daredevil, and it is virtually unreadable. Like that book is awful.
Okay.
And it took 2 issues for me to confirm that. Like, I suspected it in the first issue. I've confirmed it on the second issue. And I suspect that it might be a short run. Who knows? We'll see if, like, Ahmed can pull it out, or if someone else will take over for Daredevil. But I feel like maybe he saw the writing on the wall and he feared that his Wolverine might also be cut short if one were to view it as or judge it as harshly as they do his Daredevil. Because this could have ended here. Like, it's gonna be over.
Right.
But then, like, you got 3 extra pages of, oh no, actually we're gonna keep going. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because Wolverine is dealing with the adamantine, like the, I don't know, god or regent of the element of adamantium or some nonsense. It's still not, like, expressly clear, but it's also very specific. It's fine. But anyway, there's this being that believes that adamantium needs to be, like, pure, and only the deserving can have it. And he picked a bunch of characters. And, there's a critique here, and I totally appreciate it. There's a concept of, like, they did this with vibranium not too long ago, where they were like, are we relying too much as a company, Marvel, on vibranium? Like, is there too much vibranium in things? We keep saying it's this precious metal, but, like, it's everywhere.
Yeah,
and
it is.
And so they rendered it inert and destroyed vibranium, and it was boring and lame.
It's like destroying all the mutants. It's just too many.
Are there too many of them? We should get rid of them. I mean, like, that's what Marvel does sometimes. And I was really worried that, like, that's where we're going with Wolverine, and maybe we will. Who knows? But, like, in this case, it was just another example of, like, oh, are we over relying on this, like, fantastical element that makes this universe less realistic?
Okay.
So Wolverine's been fighting his, like, complements, these villains that are also adamantium based, and they are all puppets of the adamantine. He then it's revealed that Romulus, one of the worst Wolverine villains ever created, is the avatar of the adamantine, and so he fights Wolverine, and Wolverine beats him. I should point out that this was a lot of fun, and it was a really great read.
It doesn't sound like that the way you're describing it.
Yeah, because like the concept is like, that's like a really, like, that's another pitch.
It's like Scarface becoming a building. You're like, if you read it, it's fun.
Yeah.
If I tell you about it, it sounds silly.
Exactly.
Okay.
But so Wolverine defeats Romulus. It doesn't matter really what he does. But, like, the point is, we got the Wendigo subplot of, like, there's a boy who's turned into a werewolf or Wendigo by accident, or rather through unfortunate circumstances that were not his fault. And so Wolverine's been trying to rehabilitate him, but he doesn't call anyone magic. He's just, like, trying to train this boy to, like, learn English and stuff. And so as a result, the boy is, like, loyal to him, but like a dog. And then there's, like, a really weird tacked on story where Arcade captures them, and then ultimately, the boy, like, the Wendigo plot is taken care of. They're like, we're good. So the Wendigo story is over, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. But the adamantine is still out there, and he's going to go chase after him. All right. Like,
cool.
Yeah. And then there's a backup where it's another reality where Wolverine is a samurai or something, and it's just an excuse for Danny Warren Johnson to draw, like,
cool
Shogun
stuff.
warriors.
Okay.
And he does, and it's awesome looking.
Yay! I'm glad it's awesome.
There's a moment where Wolverine defeats the incoming bad guy in a horrifically gruesome and fantastic moment that made me go, whoa! And it was great. And that's what you come to expect from D-Dubs at this point. But was this a worthy 400? No, but you'll get it right in the.
But it's like a 400. I don't know. Like, it's a big deal.
400, like, it's in the 500. Like, that's when we really get excited.
Sure.
And it's Wolverine 8.
You just have to wait 10 more years.
Yeah.
Or 9.
Right? I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. It is very readable. I'm having a better experience reading this than overall I did reading Wolverine Revenge. But I did appreciate Wolverine Revenge for being intelligent. It only took doing a whole episode about.
I was gonna say, you had such a different tune after you did that episode about that book, which is why I think having conversations about books and storylines are important to have, because not that, like, someone has to, like, sway you, or that, like, you need to present your argument or whatever, but sometimes just by you yourself saying some things out loud or discussing them in general, like, you will gain a different perspective.
Exactly.
So, like, that's why comic book discourse, or just discourse in general, is, like, really important.
Yeah. This is not book of the week. So what else we got?
Okay.
What'd
wait,
you read?
What? What did I read? Let's talk about Zatanna.
Ooh, Zatanna.
Why not, right? This is written and drawn by Jamal Campbell.
Yay.
Yeah. So this is issue 3 of this series. And I gotta tell you that like I had this like aha moment on my way home from work today where I was just like, wow, how quickly this has like taken the slot for me of Doctor Strange, because like I just not loving the Doctor Strange book right now. But
You're off the Doctor Strange.
I am off it. I am honestly off of it. But this is one of those things where it's like, hey, when a run shows up that you're not a big fan of, it's okay to drop it, because guess what? There'll probably be something else that you'll pick up. And Zatanna was there, but now I'm just like, oh, like I'm just appreciating it a little bit more. I was enjoying it as much, but I'm appreciating it, having it more now.
Totally.
In this issue, we get man, like Basil Carlo shows up.
Okay.
And it's Clayface.
Yeah.
And but that's like in that TV world, and it's like really cool. Like it's very, very neat. He was utilized to portray Adam, her like magician's assistant, what have you.
Okay.
Which is like a really great use of Clayface. Like you're gonna have Clayface, and he's gonna like essentially pull like a trick where it's like, you know, the kid's still dead. Right. Like, but it explains how like his body was in the apartment and yet we still saw him.
Okay.
You know, it's like, how did that work? Well, actually, this one wasn't magic. It was Clayface. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, that's cool. Right. It doesn't always be magic. But that like essentially this TV world is like his reward.
Okay.
So it's just really well done. Like you remember you see like Bruce Wayne at the end of it, right? And like Bruce is like, oh, I don't know who you are, miss. Like, you know, and she's like, what is okay, no, this is weird. Everything's weird. Get away. Ew, 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 right? We're starting to get like a better picture of Brother Knight. Okay. Like his relationship with everybody, and like, you know, like not only like people who maybe he has a romantic entanglement with, but like folks he works with. He's very petty and egotistical, and hopefully I'm kind of hoping that's like his undoing. You know, I like that type of thing when you're like an egotistical character that ends up leading to your downfall in some way, shape, or form. We kind of confirmed that the well, not confirmed, but like the White Lady is a vampire, I should say. We are introduced to that concept at the start of the issue. It's like hinted at, and then by the end they're like, yeah, that's what it is. Oh, okay, great. Like you will see fangs. And also there's like a big mirror, and it's one of those blink if you miss it, but she doesn't have a reflection. Oh no. And I was like, that's cool. I like it. Smart. Yeah, so like here's like the story's fun. Story's really, really fun. I'm very engaged. I very much am looking forward to seeing how Zatanna solves the like magic sword in her body. What does Brother Knight want? How is she going to get around it? Will she actually like have like seek out help from others? But she's really pushing people away because of the whole Adam thing. But the fact is, it's Campbell's art, man. Like that's what we're here for, right? Yeah. Like Campbell's art, every issue somehow keeps getting better and better. Great. Like I don't understand how that's possible. Sure. But it I swear it does. You know, whether it be like the perfect shift in coloring for the TV world, it's all like grainy and muted because it's really this old Hollywood feel, right? Yeah. So it's got like this old like film kind of quality to it. To the like super energetic forms of Clayface. Like if you want to give an artist a lot of like free range and have fun with it, pick Clayface. Have Clayface be in your book. I mean, obviously Campbell's writing this, so he gets to do whatever he wants, but it's like it's phenomenal, right? And then of course there's like these really spectacular splash pages, and like it's just like Campbell just comes alive like in these books, especially with something magical based. And if he's writing it. Oh, he's also writing it, but I mean, like give an artist who has this type of talent access to magical stuff. Right. Let him go, and like you will get something amazing. Yeah. Yeah, overall for me this is like a 10 out of 10 book. It's this book is a lot of fun. It's a total treat for the eyes. Like that's fair. It's one of those things where like I will go through and then I will come back and I will be like, I just got to soak this in. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's like always a pleasure. It's just like you get like 2 bites of the apple where it's like I read the story, I enjoyed the art, and then I also get to go back and really like take a peek at the art. But I mean, like look at this. Look at him go. Look at Campbell doing everything. I'm gonna do like the crappy thing. I don't have any sort of screenshots for this, but I mean, like, look at that. But look at that great resolution on your iPad. That's great. It is really nice. It does. But it's also a little like over like. Well, you know, we got a big light on us. So. It's great. It's good stuff. And like he always saves it for the end.
Awesome.
Like, just so good. So good. Really love this book. If Zatanna is a character, you're like, I don't know anything about Zatanna. Why would I care? But if you like magical stories, trust me, you don't need to know anything about her.
Great.
You don't need to know about her to care about her story or to care about the idea of like of what's going on here. It's just you're going on a magical adventure, and Jamal Campbell's like doing just gorgeous art.
That's awesome.
Gorgeous art.
I love it. Well, I read DCX Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Did you really? I wasn't sure if you're actually going to.
Yeah, it's Ian Flynn, Adam Bryce Thomas. This is, it's the big Sonic the Hedgehog Justice League crossover. They call it DCX Sonic the Hedgehog, and I can understand why, based on like their big moment at the end of this issue.
Sure.
If you love Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic comics, you might enjoy this. It's very superficial, but it also still delivers on the premise at the very least. The League is in the Sonic the Hedgehog universe. Darkseid has attacked. He's looking for the Chaos Emeralds. You can see where this is going. They bump into Robotnik. Robotnik doesn't team up with Darkseid because Darkseid is not your typical villain who would. So Robotnik is looking to help. So they team up with him. And then ultimately the Justice League makes a heroic sacrifice, and the Sonic team ends up in the DC universe. So that's where we are with this. It's a fun, silly adventure that you can't possibly critique, because if the book looks good and delivers on the premise, then what else are you here for?
Sure.
I should say that there are times where the human portion of the crossover looks a little hinky, but the Sonic characters are all rendered exactly as you'd expect, exactly as you'd want. Ian Flynn is not Ian Flynn. Adam Bryce Thomas is a traditionally Sonic-oriented artist, so you'd expect that.
Right.
The heroes do look heroic and they do their thing, but also there are moments where it's like,
right. Okay.
Or they don't look consistent panel to panel, but not all the time. Just in a couple, like there was one page I noticed where like Superman looked like a girl.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Like I was like, who's this? I'm like, oh, it's Superman panel to panel. I'm like, what happened here? It's still fun. It's still silly. It's still campy.
Yes.
I questioned the decision to use Darkseid because of how complicated that is. He is the fulcrum upon which the absolute universe is resting. He's supposed to be already condensed into like there is no other multiversal version of Darkseid. Like if you know DC, you're kind of like, well, that doesn't really line up. But if you're a crossover or a Sonic fan only, then this is a book for you.
Yes.
But it's fun. It's fun and it's harmless. Moving on.
Yeah. Fair.
I read Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
Ninja Turtles number 8 from Jason Aaron and Juan Ferreira. The heroes are in New Jersey. They're in the streets of Newark, or sewers of Newark, I should say.
Welcome, Turtles.
They don't like it. There's a joke about like how it smells. But the heroes are trying to figure things out. It's mostly a Donnie-centric or focused book.
Sure.
Or this issue is the whole
the one
series.
with the dead rat.
Yeah, the one with the dead rat, who's the reincarnation of Splinter, kind of, not really. And like the heroes are tired and sick of Donnie being crazy, and they want him to snap out of it. And he's been, they remind you that earlier, like the first issue, he was tortured, and like, or issue 4, I guess, because each issue is so focused on a different turtle. But he's been tortured and just driven to this point.
Sure.
They're all still fighting. They are not meshing. They are not working as a team. They're each going back to New York, which has completely rejected them. And there's a new DA who's got a warpath against the Turtles and is working diligently to make sure that they can't that they're demonized and can't return. And the heroes return to New York every night and like try to fight crime, but then every single essential service of New York is infiltrated by the Klan, and so like the Foot Clan has infiltrated that area, so they're dressed up like firemen, so that it looks like the Turtles are beating up EMTs and firemen and stuff. So it's like it's a dark time for the Turtles, and they are constantly feeling beaten down. And this is comparing them to where they were before the book started. They were all kind of in their own world with their own stuff, and now they're all together, but they're all miserable, and they're not meshing.
What is the lesson here?
Right, exactly. And that's what this book, that's the lesson / direction of this series is finally kind of like come into focus, especially with Donnie's decision at the end. But I wonder because Jason Aaron is on this book. He, huge writer on
Yes.
Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Fantastic, new, interesting direction. You need a lot more to flesh this out. Like we're at issue 8. It doesn't feel like we've even gone through a single arc yet. And so it feels like, well, then I guess it's like a 12-issue miniseries.
Or maybe, maybe he's not writing like a standard arc.
He's not. Or it doesn't seem like it. You're right. Like it seems like it's like one run. And I'm excited to see where this goes. But I hope it goes for a while.
Right. Yeah. So maybe they need to get, like, Moon Knight has therapy. Maybe Donnie needs some therapy.
I mean, they all do. All the Turtles do desperately in this. But,
I'd love to see Raphael having to sit there.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of like supernatural elements at work, but not in like a hacky kind of way.
Oh,
and
I do like that.
It's in a like very like
a Conan the Barbarian.
Like in a is it really happening kind of
Oh,
way.
Okay.
Which is always fun.
Yes.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this issue. The art's fantastic. I have my own theories and suspicions about the identities of some of these characters. Karai is nowhere to be found. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. Like, I'm like, the DA is kind of fat. Maybe he's got an Ultram in his tummy. I don't know. We'll see. Utram, not Ultram.
I was like, Ultron, what?
Yeah.
He's got an Ultron in his tummy. Watch out, boys.
So yeah, it's a good series. I'm enjoying it. The art's good. If you're not already reading it, you should be. I mean,
why not?
It's more or less a fresh take on the franchise.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Ultimate Wolverine?
Why not? Ultimate Wolverine. I did read this too. I did. I caught up. I finally caught up.
I get to chat with you about this.
This is Chris Condon.
Chris Condon with art by Alessandro Cappuccio. Yes. Ultimate Wolverine #4. I'd love to hear your thoughts now that you've caught up.
Yeah. I mean, it looks spectacular. There's no question about it. Cappuccio has cut his teeth on Moon Knight. Great poaching to get him onto this series because it looks great. The whole book is just this issue in particular is a feast for the eyes.
Yeah.
You're watching this beautiful representation of Wolverine's, representation in comics versus what this new direction has taken him in. And we're watching those things at war. And that's really awesome. You'll describe that further. But, where we find out more, this is obviously the premier X-Men book that isn't Peach Momoko.
Yes.
Like, this is the book that seeks to tell you, like, those who say, I don't read Ultimate X-Men because it's not about the X-Men, read this because it has features or at least answers questions about where your X-Men ended up.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm sure if Hickman had stuck around in X-Men in the main Marvel universe, maybe they wouldn't be in such a bad place. But like, what matters is this is this is a dark, familiar but fun and refreshingly new take on Wolverine.
Okay.
It solves an issue I had with Ultimate Wolverine in the past. People were like, "Oh, you got to read Ultimate Wolverine versus Hulk, or you got to read Ultimate X-Men," and I'm like, I did not like Ultimate X-Men. I did not like it at all. The first one, and I especially didn't like Ultimate Wolverine because it was just Wolverine again, but with less depth and like more abrasive somehow. This is something else.
Okay.
Just something drastically. It is Logan, but through the lens of Winter Soldier.
Right. Yeah. So for me, I was like, is this book a sleeper hit in a way? Because like issue 1 had a lot of us going like, okay, whatever. Like, and that was like, and then I guess that was the first 2 issues.
Yeah.
But like by this issue and issue 3, I was kind of like, hi, are you like doing really fun stuff over there? Because the answer I think is yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot I loved about this specific issue. I love the Condon and Cappuccio went ahead and used symbolic animal choices. Like there's a whole opening to this in which we see a wolf like hunting a bear and them fighting often, right? Obviously the wolf there to represent the white wolf in terms of Winter Soldier, but also to represent the lone wolf in terms of Wolverine, which I was like perfect iconography there. And obviously fighting a bear. Bears are one of the biggest symbols of Russia in general. I was like, this is genius, right? And like, obviously, also just Wolverine in general tends to have a lot of ties to animals and nature and bears and all that. But to pair those two up to be like just him fighting against this Russian like programming.
Yes.
I was like, this is brilliant. Love this. I thought it was really interesting that all this is happening in the wake of the conflict that Logan had with Kitty.
Yes.
And where she like tried to like snap him out of it. We have like this like frantic voiceover as to what's happening in the real world. Now I know you had mentioned when you were reading, you felt like you didn't need it.
I was not, yeah.
And that's fair.
It was one of those things where like I understand, and you really responded to it, but I recognize its decisions because it was about making the book feel tumultuous. It was supposed to feel cacophonous and represent the kind of frenetic mindset that Wolverine probably is in at this point.
Yeah.
And also to allude to the ending.
Well, and it's funny because like when I was reading it initially, I kind of was like, there's a lot of it. But then when I got to the reveal, I was like, I
see why they did that.
But like, as I was reading it, I was like, yeah, I didn't need all of it.
No, I
liked a lot of it, but eventually I was like, yes.
Yeah. Like I hate when I can skip dialogue.
Yeah.
And when I feel encouraged to do it, and in the last 2 weeks, they're both been Ultimate books.
Well, in this, but I think that was done. It's a tension setter.
It is
like
this was way less self-indulgent than what Camp was doing in the Ultimates book. But like this, but I also was so captivated by how good it looked, especially the double page splash. I was like, I don't even need to read this crap. Like I get it.
I did. I couldn't help myself.
I mean, I read it. I'm just saying it was like,
But like it's interesting because this issue is like paced in like a kind of normal but also very different way where you're watching all this stuff, but really like you're watching this. Yes, we're setting up the fact that it's like we're watching Wolverine be in turmoil, right? We're watching him like not sure, trying to break his programming, which is like part Wolverine, part Bucky. Like we're seeing that happen, but we get to see it represented in this like cool fashion. But what we're also doing is we're setting up the opportunity to have the reality of his actions open the door for us to talk about the way in which they're actually controlling Wolverine. Right. Because we really haven't gotten into that too much. Like, how does this work? Like, how are you keeping Wolverine like sedated? I mean, we've seen it done within Weapon X, but how are they doing it in the Ultimate Universe? Yeah. This creates this like perfect opportunity for us to like give you a little bit of an info dump. Yeah. Which leads to a really big reveal, right? So it's like we learned that there's these 3 levels of control. It's sedatives, it's re-education and manipulation. Obviously, we saw these sedatives were not working. The more like he was getting upset, the less the sedatives were working. And then of course there was the telepathy. And that's of course the moment anyone who is an X-Men fan was like, well, obviously we're talking about Jean. Yes. Right, like there's just no doubt in your mind we're talking about Jean. And we are. I'm not burying the lead here. Yeah. We are talking about Jean. Yeah. And so, like, I feel like as that is the case for most people reading this, it was Condon's job then to be like, but here's another twist. Yes. And I think he did a really good job with that. Where it was just like, we were already ahead of him. We were like, yep, 100%. It's got to be her. It's got to be her. It's got to be her. And then it's like, but what about this? And I'm like, well, so we could go to the Cerebellum, which I was like, that's a really fun idea. It's a big dome. It immediately, as soon as you have a dome and you're reading an X book, you're like, okay. Oh, Cerebro. Cerebro's in there, right? And it's called the Cerebellum. Great use of X-based imagery to lead you, the reader. If you're not a reader of X-Men, you're still fine. Right. You still kind of get it because it's all very basic icons and images. But within there is a fairly well-known redhead. And instead of there being a Cerebro in there above her, because she's suspended, is a brain, which I was like, what is happening here, right? And if you read later on, it turns out that it is the brain of Professor X. Right. Which is, I guess, being used as Cerebro. Brilliant. I mean, like we saw, and it's funny because, we saw in the pages of Ultimate Wolverine, Professor X. Yeah. And we saw, or thought we saw, the fate of Professor X, but we see that actually we use every part of the animal in this comic. Like we're gonna pay that off in some way. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Just really good stuff. We found out that like Jean is there. She's also under heavy sedation. She's barely kept alive, and her muscles have atrophied at this point. Which I was like, I think we're setting up a really cool reveal at some point with her. Well, especially because of what they refer to her. They refer to her as the Phoenix. But yeah, like I wonder if that's codename Phoenix, or is she being resurrected, or is she the vessel for the Phoenix? I don't know. Keeping her trapped in this body, right? I don't know. Like a lot of stuff here, really great. Can we just talk about Capuccio really quickly? Like, please, he is take it away. A freaking treasure. Yeah. He creates like really grim imagery that happens to have like these really beautiful fluid lines associated with them. He draws like a hulking polar bear that's ready to kill you, but also that like you desperately want to cuddle.
Mm-hmm.
At least I did.
Well, that's just bears in general.
But he looks so soft.
Yeah.
Doesn't he look so soft? I'm like, I just want to be like,
I know. If not friend, why friend shaped? I understand. I mean, I'm with you. He looks warm.
He looks very warm. You're
Very
right.
warm. Yeah.
I also really love the fact that when we see Jean like suspended like that with all the wires and the tubes, it conjures the image of the Phoenix in general, but also is a hallmark of classic Wolverine art when you're dealing with like wires, tubing,
oh my god, it's all Barry Windsor Smith.
It's all there, right? But it's just done through a different lens.
Yes,
like,
it's not an homage. It is an homage, but it's very much his own style.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's beautiful and it's tragic, and I feel like I can officially say I really enjoy Wolverine.
Hey, Ultimate Wolverine is a good book.
Yeah, and that it's actually like much more, like you said, it's more traditional X-Men than the Ultimate X-Men is.
Yes.
I still love both books, but it's like if you were looking for what some of the other characters are getting, where it's just like familiar faces in new places, like that type of thing, like that's going to be this book.
Oh sure.
I still recommend reading Ultimate X-Men, but like if you wanted like something,
but if you want the
like
X-Men grounded experience,
you can go check that out. It's really good.
Yeah. Well, I also read Wonder Woman number 20 from Tom King, this time with art by Guillaume March. This is I think like 2-part murder mystery in which Hippolyta wakes up in bed and Ares is murdered with her dagger. So Wonder Woman gets Batman involved to solve the mystery. That's the book. It's great.
What's going to happen if they don't?
Oh, Batman has offered himself as a sacrifice to Zeus if they fail to find the murderer.
Suddenly Zeus gives a crap?
No, it's just that he's entertained by it. He's like, yeah, all right.
Why would Batman do that?
Because he really cares about Wonder Woman. There's a great moment where Batman's talking to Zeus, and Batman's like, Zeus refers to Batman, and Batman's like, you know me? And he's like, there are gods, there are men, and then there's Batman. It's a great looking book. March is doing an awesome job just depicting these characters. Watch Batman go through the Pantheon and interrogate Aphrodite and immediately fall for her because he's completely not immune to her charms.
Right.
He's just like, duh. Like, she just takes his mask off. He's like, yeah, okay, never mind. He's like, yeah, I'm Batman. There's a great moment where like they're in the car in the Batmobile and they're talking about gods and belief and faith. And Batman says that I looked for God and he's not in a church. He's in the alley.
You mean Barbados?
I don't think Tom's going to be referring to Barbados anytime soon. But, it was a really great, cool... Like, I remember seeing it out of context in some snarky fashion and then reading it in the book. I'm like, this feels cool. And then Batman is hurt. Someone steals one of Zeus's lightning bolts and tries to take out Batman. And Batman is, placed in care of the Amazonians or whatever. And so he's off the table, but they're still working on it. And he admits to being stoic and pithy because he's Batman, but like where his faith really lies. And it's like a really beautiful moment that I'm on.
Okay.
I'm like, this is cool.
Okay.
It's really, really well done. And it's a Batman by Tom King that I would like.
That God is in the alley. He should have been like,
that's where I found my purpose.
Yeah, but okay, I see. They're like, there is no God in the alley.
Well, yeah.
That's what it is, Batman.
Right. It's a good looking book. It's well written. It's cool. A lot of 9-panel grids. So watch out for that. I mean, it's Tom King, but it's also not like, I don't know. It's just it's Tom King getting out of his own way. It's just Tom King doing a Batman book. And I think it's like, he's done so many other Batman things after the 100-issue run, non-100-issue run, that he's just able to do this story and make sure that Wonder Woman is still the main character. I'll really dig it. It's really worth reading. Let's see here. I read the Summer of Superman special.
Fun.
From DC All In.
How was it?
Good. You watch the team of Superman writers for the Summer of Superman. That is, of course, Joshua Williamson, Mark Waid, and Dan Slott, as they each kind of pass the baton to each other, telling one contiguous story. The art is entirely done by Jorge Jimenez and Belen Ortega and Dan Mora. Little Dan Mora in there, but not a lot. So don't get too excited. But Jorge Jimenez is doing a great job. Normally you see Jimenez doing Batman stuff. So it's interesting to see his depiction of the Superman family. And
Right.
I do mean family. There's a lot of Superman in here. We get to see a wedding. Lana is marrying Steel, and they're doing it in Smallville. And
So
we
would you
see
say Lana has a type?
Yeah, super guys. But it was a sweet book that watches Superman, go through time. There's a awesome fun moment that's very Mark Waid, where Superboy, when he was a teenager and dating Lana, has to fight a villain that Wade is like, remember this? And he goes through time to fight him, like they fall through a portal. And he has a special programming on him, thanks to the Legion, that if he sees anything from the future, it'll automatically erase from his mind so that he doesn't like ruin anything. But there's a moment where before that, he's talking to Lana as a teenager, and he's like, I'm going to tell her everything because I know I'm going to marry her. And as he's falling through time fighting this villain, he sees his family. Like, he sees himself with his wife and son, and he is so upset and like, he's like, that's not Lana. What's wrong with my future? It's just a really interesting perspective.
Aww.
And I really loved that. It was
cute.
so great. And I really dug that. And, but it's, and Lana's just, beautiful and fun and depicted in that. And, much better than she was in the post-crisis continuity, where she was just a mess.
Justice for Lana.
Yeah, poor. She got it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they figured it out. But yeah,
They
it's
got it
just
there.
a sweet book that highlights everything that's good about Superman, and also here's his like extended family in the form of like Lana and
Sure.
Steel, and Superman realizing, oh yeah, the Legion. What's going on with that? And it's like, oh yeah, remember All In? Now they're not the Legion anymore. They're the Dark Legion.
Oh yeah.
Or the Omega Legion.
Sure.
Josh and I are fighting over what they're called. He calls them the Dark Legion, but I called them the Omega Legion when I first saw them.
Okay.
But anyway, it's cool. It's a fun celebration of Superman. Makes a lot of sense to put this out now.
Yeah.
And also we see there's a couple of great moments in it, but I mean, they're all really, really fun. And it was a seamless transition, by the way. I didn't like. I almost couldn't tell like where each writer stopped or started.
Interesting. Okay.
Which I thought was a really nice, good sign for Slott, who is in the DC family now.
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff. Dug it. Good. Keep it up. Yay, Superman.
Fantastic.
I also read Detective Comics. This is a book where, I was like,
it's a really fun cover.
That's a great cover. Detective is just plagued with wonderful covers. Of course, Tom Taylor. This time, I believe it's done by a couple of artists. Mikkel Yannon did it, and also
I think that's it.
It was just him.
This is
Interesting.
Yannon.
Okay, Yannon did it. Basically, the first arc is over. The Bat family is dispatched. Batman's girlfriend is absolved. A new villain has been established. That new villain has an evil villain above them, and she's like Queen Beryl. Yeah. I wouldn't give her that much stature, but in the beginning of this, I think last time I read an issue of Detective on the show, I was like, this feels like it should be over, and it kind of is. Like, this arc is over and it completed, and it feels like a complete story. It threatens to tell us more, and I'm like, no. You could just stop. You can just tell us another thing, and it feels like it's just going to be like Nightwing, where it's like, don't forget about Heartless, and I'm like, we all did, and we don't care, and he's like, that's okay. I'll just show you other things you want to see, and I'm like, yay, that's good, Tom. Keep doing that. Just show me things I want to see. It was a fun, action-packed adventure that shows Batman, dealing with Joe Chill related. Retcon shenanigans, which, like, all right, whatever.
I can't go over that cover though. I really like the colors on it. It's a really good choice. By the way, actually been in the news. I saw this past weekend.
Yeah, speaking of Queen Beryl.
Yeah, I went with Sal and we went and saw the Sailor Moon
stage show.
Yeah, the Super Live show. Because I wanted to see it and I bought us tickets.
Yes.
And then I was like, let's go. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And I say that in terms of the fact that it's like, I knew exactly what it was going to be in terms of it being like silly and over the top and all of that. And but I knew also that it was going to be completely in Japanese. The entire cast is from Japan. And like the person who plays Tuxedo Mask is the person who's always played Tuxedo Mask, but this is like a group of girls who have done, or women who have done different shows that were related to Sailor Moon, but not this one.
Yep.
And it was so good because they paid homage to the manga. And so like it really is just the like first arc of the manga told in stage show. They do it within 90 minutes, no intermission. It's just a live action movie you're seeing. And you might be wondering, how are they going to do this? Well, first of all, it's mostly musical. There's a ton of songs in it.
Yeah. You've never heard before.
But the stage is super simplistic. There's a lot of light.
Yeah, light does a heavy lifting in the show.
Yeah, which is great because it really reflects the art style of Naoko. And they did translations of like lyrics on like the screen behind them in like these really cool ways. And there were times where there'd be like heavy dialogue sequences, and they would like put up like basically word balloons of the dialogue. And I was like, this is such a beautiful like homage and like honoring of the source material.
Yeah,
it was just so much fun and so well done. And then at the end they did like 30 minutes of like they did all the songs again so that people could like sing and do whatever along with it. And then right at the end they did one song where they were like, you can take photos and video, because they knew what that was like, how important that would be to people. But it's just really cool to be in a room, like sold out room, with people who just all were part of like that same fandom and all just wanted to be there for it. There was like people of every age there. There were families that were there, people in costumes. And it was just such a delightful experience.
Yep.
And I kind of wish there were more things like this. Obviously, Sailor Moon is kind of suited to this. Musicals tend to have a lot of like death and love and friendship and whatever in it. So like it's primed for it.
Yeah.
But this blending of like musical with art, because obviously they were using dance and art to try to tell the story in some way. But then also using multimedia in order to like bring in that like comic part of it. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
It was a great experience. I'm glad you got to do it.
I'm thrilled.
Yeah. We also read New Gods #5 from Rom V and the creative team behind it that are doing an amazing job.
Oh, Evan Cagle.
Thank you. Is it just it's
Evan Cagle, and there was someone new this time just for that opening thing. I have it written down. Hang on, it's right here. It is Andrew McLean.
Okay. Yeah.
Evan Cagle did almost all of the work, like art. I think Andrew McLean does like one issue or pages 1 through 4. I think, because there's like a little intro thing.
Yeah.
Really cutely done.
Yeah. This cover is a straight up lie. And also I feel like it might be because the book isn't selling very well. I don't know if it isn't. I'm just saying the Justice League Unlimited is not in this book. One of them is. Like one character is in it.
I guess what you could say is that this is probably where like this is going to be the start of where we see more tethering into the main DC universe. Like, so like
it's a lie.
All right. Well, hang on. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. What did you think of it overall?
It was spectacular. It's breathtaking. The art is unbelievable. Cagle is doing the work of his career. It's unfathomably good looking.
Yes, there was like one panel though that like. There was an arm anatomy issue.
Oh, really?
It drove me insane. I was like, I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm not gonna tell you where it is.
Yeah,
because
it's so good overall.
Yes,
it's what you come to expect when Rom V is doing something mythic. This is the kind of thing. It feels like a Supergirl kind of book where it's like it's going to be people's favorite thing that Rom V has ever made.
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
When it's collected, people are going to like champion it and talk about it.
No, like for sure. Like there's definitely something about this book overall. Like I don't know if it's just the art style or the ideas or all of that make it feel special.
It
like,
does.
There's just
it feels
special.
It has gravitas.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is.
The art really tethers it to the mythology, but it's also, of course, just Rom giving you this reverent but also new take. On everything.
What'd you think of the issue though?
Yeah, this issue in particular was this better, than the last one. Like the last one, like it was much more comic booky, but it still worked.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was the third one or the fourth one where it was like, here's the birthplace.
Yes.
That was like what I come to expect from this book. This is more of that. Where
See,
it's like, but bringing it to
that's
today.
That's so funny because I thought this was a really good issue, but for a different reason. Because I thought this issue in particular did some scaffolding where it took the bigger concepts and the
Yes.
higher lore that Rom like had in like some of
Mhm.
the earlier issues and made it more accessible via
Yes.
plot. Like utilizing more of a comic book style plot with all of that. Like I feel like he's like making it so that it's like, listen. I hope I didn't lose you in like the first 2 issues.
Right. But I really needed you to
I
strap in.
needed this like bedding here before I could build my nest.
Mhm,
Like I
mhm.
needed to gather all of this.
Yeah.
Like we find out like the plot, the thing that we find out, right? Karak Ator, the
Thank
like antagonist, is in it for revenge. It's a revenge plot,
Yeah.
right? Like at least on the surface,
Like,
that's
thank
what
you.
it is. And I'm
Good.
like, brilliant.
You
like,
need to tether like all this stuff. Like
yes.
you gotta it's like having to transport 20 balloons. You need a net.
Yeah.
You can't just hold them.
I mean, you could try.
But you need one big relatable net.
Yes. Yes.
To trap it.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that's what Romvi's done with this like revenge plot.
You got the revenge plot.
You got the pursuant, like they got the Terminator plot.
Yeah, you got the Light Ray wants to understand death. I'm like,
so, and he does.
Okay, cool. But you know what I mean? Like he's a god who wants to understand death. It's something that we as human beings
Understand all too
can
well.
get that, right? And like, like, are the new gods truly gods? Like,
Right.
yeah, sure. These are like the main things that we're dealing with right now. And I'm
Mhm.
like, yes, like I'm glad for me, like the way I'm perceiving this like story right now, I'm really glad that we waited to do that. I could see how maybe marketing might have wished.
Oh, would have preferred like maybe the first issue to be really grounded, and then you can all get all your mythology stuff out of the way in like issue 3 or 4. But that's how you see books go like that.
Yeah. Also, we add like one more thing that I thought was really smart.
Oh yeah, what's that?
It's just a little element that's like a little nod to Kirby, in which like the ships have like this Galactus style ability to them, in which they like eat energy of planets or at least one planet. And I was like, it's really smart. It's like a little like wink and a nod where it's just like, yeah,
right.
We get a lot more with Highfather and New Genesis than with Mr. Miracle, Barda, and Orion, but that kind of feels like it's by design.
But we do get more of them than we did in like at least the second and third issues, I think.
Yes, but I think it's done on purpose because I think it's part of that scaffolding.
Yeah.
Because like it seems like that plot is going to blend in
to the comic book stuff.
Yeah, so like it feels like the like New Genesis Highfather stuff is going to end up being more. It was connected to Mr. Miracle, but I think even more to what's going on there, which is where the whole Superman thing comes in. Like I think that this is going to be like Enter the Justice League like Unlimited is because like if you wanted to read that, you need this issue to understand what's going to be happening afterwards.
Right.
That's my hope, at least.
I hope so too.
A lot of people talking about Kegel's art in our chat, and like it's just how incredible they are. Like I just really incredible talent.
There's one page in particular where I was like, whoa, that was great. It was the
unmaking. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ugh.
I think he's perfect fit for this book. Yeah. Like for the style, for all of it. Like he's all the right skills, all the correct skills for this, and just completely understands the assignment.
Yeah.
And as I was looking at it, I'd said it kind of looks like Tradmore. Right, like style, but I the more I'm getting to know his art, the more I'm feeling like it's like Tradmore and Mobius, by way of Yoshiyuki Sadamoto, who is the mangaka for Evangelion.
Oh yeah, okay,
and so it's just like he's his own thing, but it's like if you if you kind of took pieces of all of those things, you have something maybe like his art, but without his like heart and soul. So you need that. So like he's just his own talent, but like when I look at his art, these are the things my brain thinks about. I'm really hoping that going forward, this book doesn't lose the blend it has going. Like trying to tether the New Gods to more mainstream DC. Like I still want it to be like the fantastical and like the lore and all that Rom created. But I also understand that desire to maybe bring it a little more grounded.
But also, like, wouldn't that be cool if they were able to do that?
Sure.
So that it feels more connected, but also manages to be part of. You know what it reminds me of a little bit? Eternals.
Yeah.
Where it was like that was a book that took place during Civil War.
Yeah.
And so because Iron Man is in it, but also
I guess
that this is like its own thing.
Yeah. I guess it'd be more like this is potentially a little bit like when they did the Eternals event during Krakoa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? AXE.
AXE.
Where it's like, you had all the stuff that Gillen was building, and then we did this event that kind of really tethered it into the Marvel universe. But yeah, like there's just so much. It'd be really easy to abandon all like the mythology and the fantasy that like Realm's been building. I just hope we don't see that. I don't really think it's at risk, but I'm just like I don't want to see that.
It seems like this is their priority.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And we also read Absolute Flash from Jeff Lemire and Nick Robles. This shows you the Absolute Rogues. The Absolute Rogues go to pursue Wally, and then they catch up with him. That's the plot. So we also see the display of Wally's powers. We see his abilities. We saw that he always has like a foot in another timeline, or does he?
That's like, I can't believe that you said that, because that's like my notes here say like this issue serves to anchor the reader in what seems to be then and now, but could be or this or that path.
Yes. Well, and that's where the ending of this issue is, where it's like, now it is a this or that. It was then and now.
Yeah.
Now is.
I don't know if it ever was then and now. Like, I'm starting to wonder, was it? I mean, it could still be then and now, but like, I think it was more of this or that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. We get to see their fun designs and powers. There's one character whose name I couldn't really get. I didn't get like a superhero name. They were just a regular person. It's the one on the cover with the ball. But like,
oh no, they had a
super name.
You keep talking. I'll.
But the depiction of this of these rogues, interesting. They're not all working for me. Like the Captain Boomerang or the Captain Cold. I don't. They're not fun enough. Like the main universe Captain Cold is so distinct and ridiculous that seeing him in this, I'm like, all right. So you're like,
oh, I guess you're right. It's just Jesse. Are they referring to Jesse Quick?
I don't know.
As a rogue, then?
I don't think so. Trickster, apparently.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, they did say that. Okay, I'm not going nuts. I'm like, wait.
Okay.
I thought I saw that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Boomerang, similar deal, where I'm like, you could be Captain Boomerang or Green Arrow. Either way.
See, that's just like, this is, for me, they're just set dressing.
They don't matter.
They're just literally just there to facilitate something else,
in
my opinion. I mean, I think they will play a role, but like, I'm like,
here's what matters. Okay. Robles is doing fantastic page work.
Well, yeah.
Not only in the graphic depiction, I don't mean like graphic in terms of violent, I mean like the graphically depicted use of speed.
Yes.
But also in every action page, which Robles manages to make almost every page look kinetic and in motion. Fantastic. Just a great looking book.
Yes.
And thankfully Lemire ain't no slouch either, and is making sure that these things look like that, because that's what he's telling Robles to draw. But it's like, it's awesome.
Yeah, I really like how Robles uses design elements to elevate this book. It feels like he's giving his all to it.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, it's not just in the forms that he draws. Like, it's literally what he does with the panels. It's how he lays down energy.
Yes.
There's just so much that he's putting into it that isn't just the form and emotion. It's just, he's just bringing a lot. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
I feel like it looks like in this book, at least in some reality, Barry made it.
Yeah. Yeah, or not. Or we're catching up to when he dies. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm like, this is making me really like question a lot of stuff, but I really enjoy that, right? Like, is Lemire also at the end of this suggesting that Reverse Flash might be Wally? Like, is that supposed to be a Reverse Flash, like villain take or not? Yeah. I have no idea. I was like, is this like Schrodinger's Flash?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great pitch, is Schrodinger's Flash. I think it's a fantastic pitch and a great depiction of everything. I'm like, I don't know, but I'm loving it. Yeah. I don't like, as I said, like, I don't like most of the rogues and their designs. I don't really care for the Flash costume design.
Oh, I don't care.
But everything looks so great. I don't care.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, but don't think that like this is an unblemished book. Like, just on the cover alone, Trickster, if that's who it is is the most exciting, interesting design out of everybody. Everyone else looks like somebody else. That's my problem, is that, like, I mean, Captain Cold looks like Grayson from the Tom King run, but with Captain Cold shades.
They don't all have to be
Captain Boomerang looks like a weird, like New 52 version of Green Arrow. There's like the other one. I don't remember all their names. There's the woman who's fast, but like isn't fast enough, who looks like Naomi. Like I'm just like, everybody looks like something else, and I don't like. It just makes me not care all the more about them.
Okay.
Wally's a great design.
Yeah, he's fun.
And everything about like the page layout, the panel like composition, everything about this book is great looking.
Yes. I don't have an issue with them because, again, for me,
Golden Glider,
they're not the focus. So I'm kind of happy that they're
but they're the rogues. Like they will be. They have to be. They're so important to the mythology of Flash.
Well, the normal Flash.
Right.
This is the absolute Flash. And like, remember, this is about like suspending your knowledge to some degree,
yes,
and letting the new story unfold.
Yes.
So for someone like me who's like only been reading the Cy Spurrier stuff, I'm like,
oh yeah,
these characters don't really mean anything to me.
Yeah.
I'm along for the ride, and I'm actually more interested in terms of what's actually happening to Wally. Like, I'm here for that story.
Well, that's all I could care about, because I certainly don't care about these guys. But that's what we're supposed to be caring about. Like that's something that Lemire is really good at. Is like, there's a book again, like issue 2. We're at the end of issue 1. They're like, here's the rogues. Here's all the rogues, and yet this feels like a single character book. Like it all feels like it's in service to Wally's development.
And good, it should be.
But we've been introduced to Wally's father, Barry, all the rogues. Like there's 7 or 8 characters that have just been thrown at you.
Yeah.
And it still feels like it's Wally's story.
That's great, I think.
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's really well handled, for sure. I also think that for some folks who like maybe didn't love Spurrier's start to his run, like we've been talking a lot about this book where it's like, what's going on? Is it then now? Is it this, that? Is it quantum physics? Whatever. It might sound like, oh my gosh, are we doing this again? I would say I think Lemire is writing a book right now that consistently is bringing a lot of larger, weightier issues, like an ideas to the table, but without bogging the book down. Like Spurrier is like a big ideas guy, and I really respond to that. This book has a similar like, let's deal with some bigger stuff, but I'm still writing a comic book.
Right, exactly.
And like it just has a lot of that action-packed, like Flash energy to it, I think.
Yep.
Big Flash
energy. Yep, that's what I was gonna say too. But yeah, overall, I mean, I recommend the hell out of it.
Oh, for sure.
This is a win. Like, this is a big win for phase 2 of Absolute.
I really think it's fun.
Yeah.
I think it's really fun, for sure.
What's our book of the week?
Damn, son. What's your book of the week?
I think I got to give it to New Gods.
Oh,
it's just so good looking.
Wow.
Like it's such a good looking book.
Yeah.
And it manages to give you the gravitas, the people. Like when people say like, "Oh, comic books are modern mythology," this is what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm torn here. I'm real torn, folks. Yeah, I don't know. It's that or Zatanna.
Yeah, I was close to Wolverine. I was like, oh man.
I am very close to Wolverine. I think I have to give it to Zatanna. It's such a triumph. It's such a beautiful, beautiful book. It's the second series we've gotten for Zatanna. Like within like a year's time. And I just can't get over the fact that it's made by one human being, and it's just so gorgeous looking. It's a fun story, but it's just so beautiful looking.
I agree. Can't argue with that. So now let's jump into some super chats. Here we go.
Yes.
Max M. Yo, 3 years ago, I sent a super about starting college. Now I'm a semester away from student teaching, and I was wondering if you'd give me any advice. Well, Tiffany.
No, you go ahead. Oh, okay. Here's a bit of advice for you. If you're starting your student teaching, when you enter the classroom, come up with, I know, listen, I hate icebreakers just as much as the next person, right? So don't make it an icebreaker. Ask them an easy to answer question. Like whatever the class you're talking about is, like let's say it's like a history class or like a literature class, English class, like ask them something super easy, like what's your favorite thing you've read this year? Something like that. Because the idea behind that is if you can get them to answer something super simple at the start of class, they're more willing to talk throughout the rest of class. It's just a way for you to connect with them.
Can't argue with that.
Oh, Chocobo Kid says, damn, Sal looking quite dapper with that haircut.
Thank you. Koji Yasuda, thanks, Sal and Tiffany. I just received my Moon Knight omnibus and Supergirl Luna tomorrow on the weekend. It was amazing.
You have incredible taste.
You do
Impeccable.
indeed. Yeah.
Impeccable. Love it. Brendan O'Brien says, I went to my first con last week, met Tom King, and got Human Target 2 signed. Dan Mora didn't have a line and was signing for $5.
Nice.
What?
Good find.
What con was this? Also, I have found ASM Sidekicks Revenge 2 through 6 for $1 each. Thank you.
Nice. Good find. That
sounds like a perfect con.
Yeah,
well
what a great
done.
con.
Well con. Way too con.
Yeah, that's right. You won the con. Hope you repped us with Tom.
I hope you had a nice interaction.
Exactly. Sean Technomizer Conwell, guys, loved all of your suggestions from last week. Any more? I've also gotten into genre of anti-heroes, villains playing protagonists like Hellions, Secret Six, X-Force, Suicide Squad, etc. At the very least, you got to read Joshua Williamson's Rogues. It's a great Black Label miniseries that we did on back issues, but there's plenty of other options for you. As far as suggestions from last week, we're going to recommend, I guess like just in general books. But,
no. They asked last time about like magical stuff, and I was able to answer a whole bunch of that. Yeah, so like, you got anti-hero stuff?
I mean, it's tough. I don't care for anti-heroes. Like, I don't like the Deathstroke series very much, like any of them. And, I'm not a Red Hood fan, and I don't know if Punisher even counts, but yeah, it's tough. I'm not a huge.
You already called out Hellions, which I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Have you read it's pretty dark, but like Cy Spurrier's Suicide Squad Black Label book?
Oh yeah.
What was that called? Was it called
Blaze?
Blaze? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Read Blaze.
It's a little dark though. I don't know. That's probably not what you're looking for. I don't recommend that for what you're looking for.
That's true.
Arduit says C-Pop Woo New Gods is so good. Best book this week.
Well, for at least one of us.
I liked it too, but you already gave it to it.
Andre Brown, thank you for all that you do. If you do celebrate it, I hope you had a good Easter. Thank you. We did have a great Easter. We didn't do anything. It was awesome.
Which I guess means we don't celebrate.
That's fair. Yeah.
Matt Fisher. Hello, Sarah and Kyle. Aww.
Oh, thanks.
I hope all is well. When will Terminator be done on the couch? I heard the writer was dope until Josh Jackson returns to the Mighty Ducks franchise. Make mine C-Pop.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 10-page backup. I don't think you're going to see us talk about that for more than like 2 seconds. But yeah, fingers crossed that it gets collected and then you can pick it up at your local comic book store when it does get into trade format. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, it's an anthology book, so it's tough to really cover. But we'll try to find some way to celebrate. Hrishi Venkatesh, did you guys read the Image Comics Horizon Experiment one-shot straight paperback collection that came out this week? Such amazing genre comics from diverse creative teams, adding their unique perspectives. No, but that sounds great. I'm sorry, I don't have much to say about that because I didn't read it, but I'll check it out. It's on my radar now, so thank you.
Matt Fisher saying, Sal, alien or aliens? Until Ethan figures out the second son, or how the second son was made. Make mine ComicPop.
It used to be aliens, but now it's Alien.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's just an amazing movie.
It is. It really is. It's so good.
Handsome Ransom, when did you come from? When did you go? When did you come from? Wendy Joe or go? Wolverine and the Snicks. Genius.
You what? You barely did any of that.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna sing Cotton Eye Joe.
Silas Loden says, thanks for what you do. What are your thoughts on Superman Doomed?
Not a huge fan. I don't like when Superman's turned into things, especially if it's Doomsday. It's just so lame. I don't begrudge anybody who liked it. I'm just saying it was like, whatever. Okay. Hrishi Venkatesh, Secret Identity, back issues for Summer Superman? Maybe. We'll see. Okay. I got other Superman books I want to do.
Matt Holscher says, saw on Patreon that your landlord is being a jerk.
Yep.
Dealing with setbacks is never easy, but you guys are doing an amazing job, and the population agrees. I really love last week's back issues.
Thanks, me too. We had a great time making it, and I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
I like thanks, me too. Thanks, me too.
Thanks, I liked it too. The infamous Mike Manhattan. Have you seen Sinners? If you have, I'd like to recommend some comics. If you enjoyed it, Bitter Root, Philadelphia, and Deep Cuts from Image Comics. No, but I've heard it's great.
So, I've read Philadelphia, at least some of it.
Oh, you're familiar with all these books, but no, we have not seen Sinners.
No. Bear Farmer says Ultimate Wolverine was great. Felt the Weapon X inspo and really like where this book is going. Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
So Lawrence Perry, after watching you guys, I'm going to write my book and read a comic. Did I mention you both rule? You didn't, but thank you, Lawrence. We really appreciate it.
Good luck on writing.
Yeah, keep it up.
Harishi Venkatesh says the Free Comic Book Day Ultimate Story from last year showed a metal skeleton with a Weapon X plaque in damage control. So I assumed Logan was dead, and Ultimate Wolverine could be Jimmy Jr. from 610 or 1610. Seems I was very wrong.
Yes. Jimmy is in the TVA book, and this is Logan. I think that they planned on killing him. I think that was the idea. That was the joke. And then they went, no, he's too popular. Bear Farmer, I read the finale of Challengers and then listened to Sal and DJ do a show where DJ said, oh yeah, Challengers have a book right now. It's good, but it probably won't stick around. No prize. Summer of Superman was fun and a great way to wrap the whole Dark Side future arc into it. Love the continuity band-aid of I forget everything when I time travel. LMAO. I know. It's a brilliant idea. I think it's a smart move.
By the way, no shit. Bear Farmer was like, sorry, I'm saying only super chats. We're not sorry. Thank you so much for the support.
Yeah, we
you
appreciate
very, very much. Bear Farmer coming back to say Omega Legion is clearly superior.
I agree. I think it's a good name.
And then once more saying Daredevil, are we excited for season 2 or bummed that it won't be like mid-season 1? I'm the first opinion, but I'm hearing a lot of the latter.
Yeah, I mean, we loved Daredevil, especially towards when they wrote out all the crap from the first episode. Or first couple of episodes, knowing that Vincent D'Onofrio can't be Kingpin in a movie means that like they can't do any of the things in the Spider-Man movie, which means that Spider-Man can't be in a live action Marvel show, which means that, you can't do any of the things I want to see, which is Kingpin fight Spider-Man or have Daredevil be in a Spider-Man movie or any of that stuff. So it's like really frustrating. I love how like I saw an interview with the director of the show where he was like, people were like, why, what? Like when Daredevil's like, I got my team, and the team was just some guys. They were like, what the F was that? And he's like, no, like they're the spirit of New York. They're you, they're me. And I'm like, that's a very nice sentiment. But like Luke Cage is going to be in the show, right? Or something. Come on. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing? I enjoyed the show a lot, and I can't wait to see that suit because he's got a new suit.
Oh, okay. Nice.
It's been leaked. So.
I wanted to I was just thinking like because the movie's coming out. Have you like I can't remember in their super chat that they said that like they'd read any Thunderbolts. I don't really know much about it, but like would you recommend that as like an anti-hero?
Oh yeah. I mean, like, Thunderbolts is the first one is amazing, but also there's more Thunderbolts where that came from. And
but also like what about the Authority?
Yeah, the Authority. Yeah, read at least the first couple of volumes of the Authority if you haven't already, because they're
not quite what you're asking, but they are in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough.
It's same energy.
Yeah. There we go. Cole Gerlach says, just finished Nice on a House on a Lake. What a book. Yeah. I agree. We got a poster because Tiffany like heard it was coming out, and so we're gonna have to check out Nice House by the Sea, I guess.
Yes. Hulkzilla says Sal finally made it up to Tiffany after making her watch Michael Bay's TMNT movie.
We saw the second one. That was what I made her see. We all saw the Michael Bay TMNT movie, but I made her go see Out of the Shadows, which I enjoyed 1,000 times more than the first one. Not to say that they're good, but it was a singular experience seeing that in the theater.
Yeah, we watched it in the theaters. Everybody let that one sink in.
Yep, we sold 2 out of 3 tickets for that theater. That's you.
It's not. I read the other one.
Cat Loyal Defend for Treats. Do you prefer hosting or being a guest on a podcast? I don't really prefer one way or the other. I like it both. It's easier for me to be on a show because I don't have to do anything. But I like owning the show more.
There you go. Lawrence Perry says there are so many options for entertainment: comics, movies, games, shows, novels. How do you whittle down your choices? I feel like we're at a point that's impossible to take everything in.
It is.
It is. So all you can do is put things into buckets.
Yeah.
Things that you like that bring you joy.
Yep.
And then things that you definitely not gonna watch.
Yeah.
Or take in, right? And you accept that fate. And then things that you would like to, and that might challenge you. Yeah. Because you can't just, I don't recommend only watching things that like you've seen a million times. Always have your comfort shows. Yes. Always have your comfort books. Always have your comfort whatever, right? You want those every once in a while, but you do want to consume new things, whether they be like brand new made or things that you've never seen, like new to you. but challenge yourself sometimes. Challenge yourself to watch something that maybe like a friend recommends. You don't have to watch the whole thing. Just commit to like, be like, all right, I'll try like one or like episode or something like that. And it's okay to tell somebody it's not for you.
Yeah.
It's okay to say that.
That's right.
Like don't let them be like, oh, hang on, you gotta watch like 5 episodes. And I don't have time to watch 5 episodes. I'll try the one. If I'm not feeling it, I'm gonna have to let it go for now. Maybe it'll hit another time in my life.
Mhm.
That's the thing too. It might be something where it's like at where you are in your life, it's not something that you're connecting with, but another point in your life, I don't know. So really it's just consume with the idea that it's okay to drop things.
Yes. That's right. Zilly Goes says, have either of you heard or checked out Dust to Dust published by Imagine? No.
No, I don't think so. Sounds like weirdly familiar, but no.
Yeah.
Tea Time 480 saying, speaking of Lana, I've been rewatching the animated series, and I realized that the reason why I've only really liked Lana in Superman the animated series is because she's essentially Bruce Timm's Mary Jane.
Unequivocally. College Mary Jane, but still, yeah, absolutely. She's amazing, too. I don't know what that show, for a little while, Batman and Superman were like big fans of deep-voiced women, and it really turned a dial in my brain. But Lana's one of them. Like, they all were. It was such a disappointment when, I don't know, I think she made it into Sub-Zero, but when Barbara changed to Tara Strong, before that, she was not. I feel bad because I don't know who the actual original actor's name was, but like, Barbara Gordon went from sounding like Barbara Gordon to sounding like Tara Strong. And what a disappointment.
Are
But
you
Lana's
saying
one of them.
that I have a deep voice?
No, I'm not saying that at all. Are you saying that?
I am.
But yeah, that cartoon and those cartoons really knew what to do. Dana Delaney is a tough choice. I don't know if she has a deep voice or not. I think it's more just like she has a strong authoritative voice.
She's a perfect voice.
Yes. Didn't you read this?
No, I read Speaking of Lana.
Bear Farmer, The Flash had this cool effect on me where I felt like I got a pretty good amount of information, but I finished the book in like 5 minutes. I wonder if I was made to feel like you're receiving info on the way that Wally does.
I literally had that same feeling where like I checked the page number, but I think it's just supposed to like, you're supposed to read it fast. It's supposed to happen fast and then make you go like, huh.
Yeah. Yeah. You're up.
Padman, whoa. You missed the last 2 you were supposed to read. I paused for 1 second. Padman finally read King's Mr. Miracle. Wow.
Yeah, isn't it great?
Barely an inconvenience.
Aurora Borealis. Yep. Are we going to get the new Ultimate Spider-Man on the couch? I love the original, and your biannual USM episodes are always a great surprise. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yes. Definitely.
Clever Remix says, what character do you think has the most tragic backstory? Buffy's Angel for me, memories of killing and torturing countless women, children for fun. Sad.
Yeah, sad for them. But yeah, I don't know. Wolverine has a pretty bad backstory, Daredevil and Spider-Man and stuff like that. But like, so does Oedipus. I don't know. It's tough. There's a lot of characters. If they're worth it, I mean, Harry Potter.
Did you say Oedipus?
Yeah.
Well, you gotta mention Sisyphus then.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, they got a lot of tragic backstories. If you're a protagonist, you probably have a tragic backstory.
Is it Orpheus?
Yes.
Leading out of the cave?
Mm-hmm.
Or leading out of
hell?
That's
more sad.
Yeah, that is quite sad.
There we go.
Messed up, man.
But yeah.
Messed up, don't look back.
Let's recommend some comics that are coming out this week that we think you should check out.
There's so many.
Yeah.
Pariah. Who said Pariah?
Screw
Put your hand up.
I guess Batman 159. I'm certainly gonna read it, so we'll see how that goes.
Ultimate or Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman #7, amazing.
Yep.
Yes. Same with Absolute Martian Manhunter #2. Looking forward to finding out how I feel about this book.
Superman 25, big tipping point for this series. You'll find out more later.
Oh. Ultimate Black Panther #15 is dropping. I like this book.
I know.
I just like it. One World Under Doom #3. I really like the second issue. I know you had we had some differing opinions about it, which I think really brings some fun conversation. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing what we both think. You're reading it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is this my heavy week?
Yep.
Damn. Okay.
Amazing Spider-Man #2 is coming out. We'll see if this continues.
Oh, Flash #20 is dropping.
Yep.
Here we go.
And X-Force 10, tragically the end of this series. I'm hopeful that we might be able to get the writer on this show. We could chat about it in retrospect. I'm really springing it on him if he's watching the show, but we'll see. But yeah, Jeff, shoot me a DM. We'll try to coordinate. I'd love to have you on. We'll do a little retrospective on the show.
Heck yeah.
And finally, my most anticipated book since they announced it, Predator vs. Spider-Man #1 from Ben Percy and Marcelo Ferreira. This preview came out. I can't wait for this. It looks like it's in an alternate reality, so we'll see.
So it's just Spider-Man versus the Yautja.
The Yautja. This is an interesting one because he has no clan, he has no scruples, he skins people. It's just amazing. All right, good, we got him.
Power Fantasy #8 is going to be dropping as well. So is Bug Wars #3, a book that for some reason I'm compelled to read. I don't know what it is. Green Lantern Dark #4 is dropping. That's the Elseworlds Green Lantern story. I keep thinking this book is over and then it's not.
Yeah. Similarly, Superman: The Last Days of Lex Luthor is ending.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Well, it took 3 or 4 years for it.
Well, I'm just saying, but the other issue came out.
I
so
know,
recently,
really.
so
They just
really,
were like, just
very
shotgun.
exciting. That's
but
very
yeah,
exciting.
I'm looking forward to seeing how this wraps up. That'll be
Yeah.
cool.
I that might be it for me for right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
who
it for
knows what
me.
else I'll see? But
Right.
the fact is, it's like that's a lot.
It ain't that enough?
Ain't that enough? By the way, I'm still thinking about that tragic story thing. There has to be like a pop culture character, but I can't think of one right now that like is somehow.
Yeah, just yeah.
Like there's just so I'm like, well, okay, well, how does one
Define tragedy.
How does one weigh tragedy?
Well, we don't have time to figure that out. But we want to thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Thanks to our super chatters for sponsoring today's show, and we will see you guys next week with another episode. But before you go, don't forget, we also have a ton of other things on this channel, so make sure to subscribe to this channel, click the bell for notifications, and click the like button on this video as well. It helps us out. So you can check out everything we put out. We just dropped another episode of No Comic Required that just dropped on Sunday. We got an episode coming out tomorrow where I'm chatting with a panel of creators from the Minor Threats universe, which includes no fewer than 4 different creators. We got Jordan Bloom, we've got Patton Oswalt, we have Sue Lee, and Brian Michael Bendis, all in one place at one time to talk about comic books. You've got to check that out if you haven't already. Well, you got to check that out when it comes out, which is going to be tomorrow, probably around like noonish. So I'm very excited about that. We got another chat with Josh, which is going to drop this week at some point in the near future. We'll see how that goes. And of course, we have so much more on this channel, but there's other channels to consider. ComicPop Plays has Tiffany streaming live
come
Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Coming out with me, we have a lot to do. One of which might actually play in competitive.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I might have dropped into 2 matches today.
What? Did you?
Yeah.
You did? Yeah, that's right. You were talking to human beings, not talking, but typing. But we have a couple other super chats to jump into. Harishi Venkatesh reminding me that G.I. Joe came out this week. Thank you very much. I got to check that out as well.
I'm Bear Farmer sliding in one more time, saying, what the hell is going on? Hulk versus Godzilla, everyone versus Galactus, AVA, Spider-Man versus Predator. What's next? Deadshot versus RoboCop, Terminator versus Cyborg?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm in. You forgot Sonic versus the DC Universe. I'm in.
Well, I think they were
specifically versus, yes.
Like, yes. And also like these like kind of more retro properties.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, I would love, listen, if there was ever a reality where we could do a Terminator crossover, you can bet your bottom dollar that I either like asked or pitched it. So, I would love to see something like that at some point. I would love to see any of these things. RoboCop, are you kidding me? Yeah, let's do it. Not Terminator versus RoboCop. I've seen enough of that.
Okay.
I've played the Genesis game, and I've read 2 disappointing, two weird and not very good comics. One which is brilliantly bad, and the other one which is just plain bad. But yeah, Superman versus Goonies, Terminator on a pirate ship. Yeah,
Terminator versus the Goonies.
There we go. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, guys. We'll see you guys next time with another episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal,
and I'm Tiffany.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.